Now, whenever I make this presentation to a group of managers, there are some concerns that managers have. It's natural. I mean, if you're going to put in a system like this, it's natural to say some of these things, like what benefits will we get from this? Why should we even put this program in the first place? Another question I often get is, what safeguards will protect management's rights? I mean, that's a big question that management has and should have in anything that they do. What kind of cases can the panel hear is a very real question I get. Will the panels always favor the employee? Interesting question. And how many cases will I get? I mean, are we going to get swamped with cases from this system? So those are just a few of the many questions that I get from management, but they're the most prevalent ones. So let's take a look at each one individually. First of all, why do this? Well, if you're going to put in a system like this, you're hoping you're going to get some benefits from it. The most important one is improved employee satisfaction. I mean, if you have a system in place that gives people a way to get their problems resolved, they're going to feel better about the place they work for. Also, you get better decisions by supervision. I mean, that's just normal. If you have a system of check and balance in place to ensure that supervisors make good decisions, they're going to take more time to make sure that they follow your rules and policies, to make sure they're being consistent, and to make better decisions in the first place. And that's probably the best benefit you can get from this program at all. You're going to get increased understanding and trust. When you put three peers, three employees, and two managers in a room together to work for a few hours trying to resolve a dispute, they're going to get better understanding and trust in each other. You know, the employees realize the two managers really do care about being fair. The two managers realize that the employees care about being fair. They get to know each other, they work together, and that knowledge of each other, and that understanding and that trust carries on way after the case is over. You do get a reduction in lawsuits and charges, and we've seen that in almost every client we have. That when you have an internal system for resolving disputes, you get fewer cases going externally to be resolved. And that benefits everybody. And that's also a very real bottom line benefit of having an ADR system. And of course, if you do all these kinds of things, you're going to maintain a union-free status. You know, I've had labor firms tell me that, and companies tell me that peer review is probably the most important single thing that any company can do to maintain union-free status. So those are some of the key benefits, and that's why you do it. The second question, the second concern I get often from management is, what safeguards will protect management rights? How do we know we're not giving up our rights? Or as one manager said to me, are we turning the asylum over to the inmates? Kind of a crude way to put it, but that's what he was concerned about, that somehow he was giving up his rights as a manager by putting in a system like this where the peers outnumber management and they're making binding decisions on management. Well, we do have lots of safeguards built into this system to protect management's rights. The first and most important is the limited scope of authority. And I'm going to show you the scope of authority in just a minute, but we don't let panels make decisions that are going to make or break the success of your company. The decisions they make are far more important to the employee than they are to the long-term future of the company. The trained facilitator is there to make sure that the panel follows the proper rules and procedures and that they do a complete investigation and make a fair decision. There are panelist eligibility requirements. Not everybody is eligible to be a panelist. For example, some companies say you have to be with the company a certain amount of time. Some say that you have to have a satisfactory performance appraisal before you can be a panelist, or that you have no disciplinary action in your file before you can be a panelist. We leave that up to each client to decide, and we work you through it to make sure that you have an eligibility requirement that you're comfortable with. The panelist selection process is important too. The employees don't get to hand pick their panel. It's done at random from among a group of volunteers who have been trained and certified to serve as a panelist. Only trained and certified panelists can hear these cases. And the training is extensive, and I'm going to show you some of the highlights of the training in just a few minutes. Another key benefit or key way to protect management's rights is with the ballot, and I'm going to show you the ballot in a minute and show you how that's designed to ensure that the panel sticks to the issue at hand and makes a really informed decision about each case. The other thing is that panels are not allowed to give punitive damages. Unlike a court or even an arbitrator, a panel can only award an employee what they've lost. They can only make the employee whole for what they've lost. So if you take the extreme case, in the case of a termination, the only thing the panel could award the employee, in addition to their job back, is back pay for the amount of time that they had missed. But there are no punitive damages awarded. So you're not going to get $1 million awards from peer review panels. And another thing that protects management rights is confidentiality. It's a very confidential system, and all panelists are sworn to uphold confidentiality in everything that they do.